Bryan, let me tell you, you missed our guy today. He's out today, but Bob Sobiak, our safety director, he's known as Buckle Up Bob, just so you know, on this show right here, when he does the weather and the traffic and safety. He came back from that safety conference from a couple weeks ago, and I thought he had a new crush on somebody.
Yeah,
I said, dude, are you cheating on your wife? Because you have a glow on you like none other. And he was like, oh, Rick, you got to hear this guy, Bryan, talk. And so, Bryan, we welcome you to the show. BCB Live is the safest station in the nation. And we're coming to folks like you, right, the experts about accident prevention. Tell us a little bit, first of all, I guess, give us a little background of who you are.
Well, like I said, my name is Bryan Corb. I'm an accident reconstructionist investigator, DOT compliance. Been doing the accident reconstruction now since, and it's probably the early 90s when I was with the department, and just kind of worked my way after retirement into this deal. I enjoy, bringing truck safety and accident prevention to the public.
It's important, and Bryan, that job you have, it's nonstop, right? I mean, that's what we do here on the show every day is talk about accident prevention. Let's just kind of dive right into it. When you see that, I mean, I'm a root cause kind of guy. What is the typical or the normal, the most common root cause from an accident you see involving the 18-wheelers?
Well, just people not paying attention. A lot of folks think these 18-wheelers can maneuver on a dime, and they can't. A lot of them think that because these drivers sit up so much higher than in the normal four-wheel vehicle that they can see a lot better, and they can't. See a lot of accidents where these passenger cars will pull out right in front of the truck and expect the truck to stop, or the truck is sitting at a red light and that four-wheeler cuts him off, thinking that he's going to be able to see that passenger car, and they just can't do it. It's there's we talk about the no zone around the sides of the trailer and the blind spots on the truck. Well, there's a big blind spot right in front of the truck. So when these four-wheelers move out in front of these trucks while they're stopped at the red light, they just can't see them.
No, it's a phenomenal point on that, and I like where you're going with this too, because we speak about it here. As well as the 18-wheels, right? The truck drivers, our listening audience, boy, we have got to find ways to get the word out on truck safety to the four-wheelers, to the kids driving for the very first time. You talk about blind spots. We hear it all the time, and some things that we address, heck, with my immediate family, my daughter that just turned 16 is driving, is, their thought process was they look sometimes for that big truck to pull out in front of. For some reason, they think since it's bigger, it can stop quicker, out there on the highway. It says, no, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah, they consider, and having driven for a long time, it seems to me as if four-wheelers look at 18-wheelers as just obstacles in the road that that are either going too slow or blocking their drive lane or getting in the way or whatever it is, or their opportunity to get into the flow of traffic. And I'm sure you see the same.
Yeah, exactly. And if you'll remember back in, was it probably the mid 80s, late 80s, when the big No Zone campaign came out, that was focused on bringing attention to the four-wheelers, if you will, the passenger cars that are driving up and around these trucks. Then we started getting into defensive driving and talking to the student drivers and really teaching them how to drive around trucks. Then we would take the campaign and we'd go actually into the trucking companies and talk to the drivers about what to watch out for. Because, the thing about it is even in the regular driver's handbook, it tells you that every driver has to ensure that the other drivers around them are safe. So if we all work together and we know that these big trucks are out on the roads, because let's face it, that's who carries our goods. We can't survive without trucks. So we've got to learn to operate around them and operate safely.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And I think it's a team effort. I don't think it's just any one person. I don't think it's just the driver. I think it's everybody. Hey, we do a lot here. We focus on certain campaigns and certain ideologies. And one of the things that we've been focusing on lately is those first responders and those accident scenes and how to react accordingly. as being former an officer out there responding, what are your views of how dangerous it is out there in those accident scenes?
Well, we got people that are basically stopping to look to see what's going on. They're putting everybody in danger. But then on the flip side of it, when we have people that are passing by these scenes, or patrol cars got somebody stopped on the side of the road, they're not paying attention to the officer and or the occupants. So we've got to be more aware of our surroundings. And when we see the flashing lights, we don't have to look. Just keep on driving, and it's going to make the traffic flow a lot quicker. You're going to get to your destination a lot faster and a lot smoother. And you got to remember, we do have that campaign going on about moving over. So you are subject to being written citations if you don't move over and or slow down as you're passing these scenes. So let's all work together, and let's get to our destination safe. There's no reason to stop and look, or what we used to call back in the day rubbernecking.
Yeah, right. Agree 100%. We just had, you talk about that. We just had an example of that in Fort Worth over the weekend, Sunday, where we had the westbound I-30 had an accident. Eastbound, the two patrol cars responded to it, got hit by another vehicle. Just happened, on the opposite side, and these lights, and it's early morning too. And we spoke about that on the show on yesterday about the lights. When you see those lights at night, early in the morning, maybe you're fatigued or you're just not aware. You're not sure which side they are. Situational awareness is what we speak on here. Understand the situation. Understand that there's lights up there, and if you're unsure, no matter what, slow down. And that's what we want to make sure that we continue to preach out there, is a situational awareness. Hey, Bryan, we do have a couple callers on here with some questions for you. Hey, who do we got first, Dylan?
Yeah, we got Alan Arnold. What do you got for us today, sir?
Morning, Alan.
Hey,
Good morning.
Yes, sir. Just wondering, with all these new LED lights on the troopers' cars, makes it real bright to see them, but from a distance, you don't know which lane they're in, when they have someone pulled over or an accident. How come we can't get like an arrow on the police cars like they do on these road trucks when they're doing road construction, telling you which lane to get into? I think that would be a safety issue that would help protect police officers, medical, and the other people they are attending to.
Sure, and that's a very good question. And some of the patrol cars do come equipped with what they call an arrow board on just below the overheads, if you will, on top of the vehicle. When you see these construction vehicles with the big arrow boards, you got to remember those trucks are not constantly moving at fast speeds. Got to remember too that the officers have to be able to maneuver around their vehicle in emergency situations and or have their overhead seen. So having the big arrow boards, if you will, is just not possible on the patrol car, but some of them do have the little arrow signs underneath the overheads. And quite honestly, that's going to be a administrator's choice as to whether they put those on there or not. But as we previously spoke, the best thing to do is when you start seeing lights, and it doesn't necessarily have to be red and blue lights. It could just be flashing yellow lights, because we got to remember our tech stop folks. And as you pointed out, the construction people on the highway. We just need to slow down as we start getting close to where those lights are, and then look far enough ahead to where we can maneuver to whatever lane they are not in. Good question.
Without a doubt. Thank you, Mr. Alan Arnold. Producer, we have another one?
Yeah, we got Curtis Benedict. What do you got for us, sir?
What's going on, Curtis?
Hey, good morning, gentlemen. Hey, I'm gonna go along with Alan Arnold here, and I've passed a few accidents, especially like at night with those LED lights. One of them I know was raining, or you get the LED lights and they hit that raindrops on your windshield, and it just lights up the windshield. But here's my thing is, you might have a police officer on one side, you might have an ambulance on another side, and they're sort of weaving you through an accident zone. My thing is those lights are so bright, sir, that it's hard to see the personnel on the ground because they don't have the reflective stuff on like construction workers do. And trying to look through that and try to decipher who's out there is a challenge. And of course, nobody wants to hit anybody else for any reason. Is there any way that emergency personnel, whether it be, well, I know that obviously the fire department have reflective, but I mean, ambulance, police officers, is there any way that we can get them to, be a little bit more visible at night with reflective stuff so that, they're easier to distinguish where they're at as you're coming up on a scene like that?
Sure. And there is a big push. A lot of departments now have a policy that states if a officer is going to be out, on the highway, that they must put the reflective vest on. Most departments, and I'm speaking here in Texas, will issue out reflective vests for the officers. Now, you got to remember these reflective vests are just that. They're the vest. They're not the full body suit like what, you see the construction workers wear. Obviously, the officers couldn't do that for safety reasons of responding to other calls. But yes, there is a push amongst departments to mandate, and some of them have actually already put that into place, that the officers do wear reflective vests and or reflective jacket, of course, in the wintertime.
Hey, Bryan, and as we talk about this, and I was just trying to, in listening to you, how more receptive over the last, let's say, 25 years have people been in the conversation about safety as more of a focal point than I would say 25 years ago, or even 20, or even 10 years ago in this industry that you see doing it every single day? How much more value are people placing in that ideology of safety first?
I'd say quite a bit. I think we've come a long way in over, like you said, the last 20, 25 years of not only protecting the motoring public, but as these callers have stated, the guys that are on the ground, that are out there in the roadway, whether it be first responders or construction workers. I think that the motoring public has looked a little closer at what is going on in their surroundings, and therefore the campaigns are starting to work.
What do you see as and my question is, what do you see in the near future that we need to do better at and be better at in order to make safety the number one thing for everybody on the road, not just for trucks, but for every single person?
I think slow down. We're a society that we want everything now. We want to hurry up and get there. We're always constantly watching the clock. Some people are better at leaving earlier than others. And unfortunately, that delayed time catches up with folks. So I think that if we as a society will slow down, plan ahead, and just be prepared for what may come as we're traveling down the roadway, I think we'll be a whole lot safer.
Yes, as the great Axl Rose said, we all need just a little patience. Yeah,
There you go.
Some more patience. Hey, producer, I know we got a question typed out there. Who do you got?
Sure. Brian Winsauer typed out, if a truck driver were to be involved in an accident, how would they be able to best protect themselves and also the company that they work for immediately following that accident?
Man, good question. And that's pretty much what the topic of conversation was a couple of weeks ago at the Safety Council when I spoke. The best thing I can tell drivers to do is, one, take pictures. Take lots of pictures from all sides of the vehicle and from a distance. If you take your photographs up close, it's harder to tell what is going on and what the general surroundings are. So take them from all angles at a distance. Second thing that I really encourage drivers to do is, regardless of whether you're talking to law enforcement, maybe you've called 911, or you're talking to your dispatcher or your safety personnel via telephone, get back inside your truck, close the door, and stay away from folks. Because you got to remember, every time that you speak, somebody listens, you could have a problem depending on how you talk about how the incident or the accident occurred. So don't say anything. You check on the other folks, make sure they're good, make sure the scene is secure, start documenting everything, get back up in your truck, and then carry on your conversation with your dispatcher or safety personnel from there. And then just wait for law enforcement to arrive. And then just be careful what you say and stay off of social media. Social media is, while it's great, but it can also hurt you too.
For sure. Hey, Bryan, when it comes to the forward-facing camera, the outward-facing camera, boy, does that comes into play from our side all the time. It's nice to have that. Do you agree that that camera facing outward has come in to really help the trucking industry as opposed to hurt?
Oh, you bet. It's helped tremendously, especially when we start looking at investigating these crashes. Those cameras have saved many drivers. And I encourage companies to put, these cameras in all the vehicles. You're looking at, $500-600 investment. Some are more, some are a little less. But what is that compared to the cost of a crash?
All right, we got plenty of questions lined up for you. Producer, who do we got?
Yeah, definitely plenty of people here. So we have, first up, we got Carrie Mobley, and then we're going to go Alan Arnold, Donna Kaysen, and then Jeff Marsh. So, Carrie, what do you got for us, sir?
How about you, Carrie?
Should be able to unmute your mic there, sir.
All right, let's go to the next one.
All right, Alan Arnold, what do you got for us?
Boy, maybe he answered all the questions already.
I was going to say, maybe we already answered them.
Yeah.
Donna, let's go to Donna Kaysen.
Yes, good morning, and thank you for being a guest on our show. That's amazing. I have where I've witnessed an accident where I will stop and give information and everything, but I've had fellow drivers that would have done the same in the past, and they get mixed up in the middle of it, like it was their fault. I was even accused that I caused it, and I'm just going, there's no way. And of course, it never went anywhere. But, of course, I want to try to, because a lot of people, they say, well, it's not my business. So they'll just keep going. But do you suggest doing that? And of course, if somebody was injured, I'm not, I cannot give first aid or anything. I do carry a small first aid kit in my truck, of course, but I don't know CPR or anything like that, sir.
Sure.
Can you address that? Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. No, thank you for your question. A good question. The thing I would encourage you to do if you're going to stop is make sure it's safe for you to do so. I'll give you an example. I had a crash here not too long ago where a Good Samaritan did stop to help a person that hit the concrete barrier. They stopped in the moving lane of traffic. And obviously, what the outcome was from that. So I would encourage you, if you're going to stop, to make sure you stop in a safe place where you're not putting yourself and or anybody else in harm. Two things there. If it is not safe to stop and you did witness the crash or you don't feel comfortable stopping, then what is wrong with picking up the phone and calling the police department, just giving them your name and phone number and let the investigating officer reach out to you later? There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. The thing is it takes all of us. We talked about it earlier. It takes all of us as a team to work together to be safe. So why not help our fellow man or woman out that's had an incident on the highway, simply by calling and leaving your phone number. You can be a good witness that way as well.
Awesome, man. Here we go. We got time for two more. Here we go.
Yep. So, Alan, I did see that you got your mic working, and then we'll go into Jeff Marsh here. So, Alan, what do you got for us? Hey, Alan, you were green just a second ago, sir. What do you got for us? All right, Jeff Marsh, what do you got for us today, sir?
I want to thank you for being on our show. Also, going back to what you're talking about, not saying anything. So back a couple of years ago, I was in an accident over there in Tallulah, Louisiana, and the guy that I had an accident with, he says he's like, man, if you hadn't tore up your truck, well, we could have just blown this off and everything. Well, I put that in my mind. Later on, he goes back and he tries to sue the company and me. And so I get this attorney calls me up on the phone and tells me, that they're, he's going to sue us and everything and all this stuff. And she asked if there's anything she needs to know. I said, the only thing is he did say that if I hadn't tore my truck, we could just blown this off. She goes, oh really? And I ain't never heard any no more, because she said that the reason she's calling because she's telling me that they were sending papers for me to sign and everything. I never seen any papers. I ain't heard from them ever since. So I think just because he said that it do it out of court.
Well, and you bring up a good point. If you're involved in an incident or an accident, collision, whatever, and somebody does reach out to you via telephone, don't talk to them because you don't know who they are. Don't sign any papers. Best thing I can tell you to do is to get back with your company, let them run it up through the insurance company, and let the insurance company and the lawyers handle it. Because just like we were just talking about you saying stuff at the scene, just like you pointed out, stuff can be used against you. Well, that same thing, you got to remember a lot of these telephone conversations when attorneys or adjusters will call are recorded. So you've got to be very careful in what you say, either at the scene or on the phone afterwards.
Hey, great points on all that. Great questions. Man, just a great, Bryan, I'm thankful for having you on the show. I'm glad you came out here. Just great information, Drive Safe Dave, that we're hearing, that it just goes to show we've got to continue to educate, right? All of our drivers out there on the road, further continued education on all of these things that don't happen all the time. You bring that up, and I'm going to follow up with Jeffrey Marsh a little bit and anybody else from another company, is that when he says that, he's absolutely correct on that, because your company has that insurance. They don't want you talking to that attorney. They will tell you what attorney to call. They'll typically give you that number or be present with that. So when you get those random calls, you know what? Run from the light,
Exactly. Take off as fast as you can.
Man, but hey, Bryan, I sincerely appreciate you. Thank you for being part of BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. We're definitely going to have Buckle Up Bob reach out to you, the producer, and see, can we get you back on here again in a few weeks?
Talk about a specific topic. Yeah, talk about some specific topics again. Hey, we appreciate what you bring to the table, and give us another insight of what's going on out.
Well, I appreciate it, and it's an honor to be here. One thing I'd like to leave everybody with is please buckle your seatbelt. Just had a crash yesterday working in East Texas, where a truck driver, unfortunately, was not wearing a seatbelt. Truck rolled, threw him out, ejected him from the vehicle, and it rolled over on top of him. So I just can't stress it enough. I know those things are uncomfortable. Sometimes they're a pain, but man, they save lives. So please, please, please wear your seatbelt and put your phone down. Please put your phone down and pay attention. Those calls, those texts, they can wait till we get to a destination or get to a stop.
Man, sounds like we got our next DJ for our next spot coming up. Man, I appreciate it. Thank you for those words. Thank you again for doing what you do. This is BCB Live Drive Safe Dave. We're the safest station in the nation, and we'll see you at 2 o'clock this afternoon. Thank you, Bryan, and thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Stay safe.
All right, bye, everybody.
Take care.